Hey guys, welcome back to High Top Sports. Oregon got a fantastic show for you guys in store today. Landing yourself a big time commit, 4-star athlete. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. We're going to dive on over to our the Duck insider, Derek the Duck Zelmer. Derek, how you doing, big dog?
Hey man, I'm good. Anytime we get one of these surprise shows with a surprise commitment in the middle of the week, I'm gonna be a happy man. So yeah, so far so good. The recruiting train's just getting rolling.
Look, man, we've been talking about it. These are fun shows for myself too. I always love recruiting shows, even though it's not for my team. They're fun to be a part of, and we've had some good ones this year. And it really feels like it's gonna close to be a really good one for the Ducks. Let's kind of talk about really quick Brandon Finney, and then let's talk about where you guys sit currently. And again, we every time we chit chat, we talk about where this Duck class is heading. And my goodness, it feels like with each passing day, it's just gonna have a really strong close. What's up with Brandon Finney though?
Yeah, absolutely. So Brandon Finney, 6'2", 185, athlete out of the state of Maryland, primarily recruited to play defensive back at Oregon. That's what he was doing mostly in high school. He played a little bit of receiver. I think he had like 630 some yards receiving on that side of the ball. But I think once he steps foot on campus, he'll be primarily treated as a defensive back. But yeah, this is a big time commit for the Ducks. This is someone who, myself included, a lot of people thought that this was a Penn State lean for a while. Announced his commitment coming up this week here, and there was not a lot of smoke behind it with the Ducks, but so I was pretty shocked to see the Hayes Fawcett tweet go out. But yeah, this is a big piece for this 25 class. Big physical corner, has the ability to play either the field or boundary positions. I think once he gets to Oregon, just with his body type and kind of how he plays on the field, I could see them using him in like a little more of a nickel role. So I'm really kind of curious to see how they treat him once he actually gets on campus if he ends up sticking with his commitment. But the thing that sticks out about this guy, once again, just like seemingly everybody who steps foot on Oregon's campus, is he's got absolutely tons of speed. He's a state track winner in 2 events. And then, obviously what he can do on the football field, ranked right around that 220 overall in this year's class. Has been a little bit of a riser recently, but I anticipate him kind of sticking right around there by the time this whole ranking system is done. Um, yeah, but big time recruit, man. Obviously, he does very well in coverage. The thing that I really like about him is he's not afraid to tackle, and that's made very apparent on tape. Has no problem crashing the ball. He's a really good piece, honestly, and someone where there's a little bit of versatility where you'd be able to move him around a little bit. Potentially could play a little bit of safety, but I think we'll kind of see him primarily in that nickel role once he steps foot on campus.
Another fantastic addition to the Duck class. Now let's take a look at where this class sits. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oregon always, this part I know I'm not wrong. We've talked about it. Oregon always makes a late push. I feel like though, like think about in a race, they're usually farther back in the pack, so they make that late push and they may not land as high as the Ducks can. It feels like they're kind of hanging on in the early front of the peloton. I've watched a lot of Tour de France documentaries, so the peloton's a big group. That's where my head went with that. Sit at 18th currently with only 10 commits, an average rating of 93.18. That's the third highest class, right on the top three for average rating. Meaning, if they were just to have 10 more commits, they would be basically in first place, right, or second place, right behind the Ohio State University that is crushing recruiting as they always do. And again, you see there's the ratings there, Brandon underneath that. But is where is Oregon sitting much higher than what they usually do at this time?
I feel like this is kind of how Oregon has been the past couple of years in terms of recruiting, where, in this kind of middle of the pack type of the year, they kind of sit somewhere in here in between that 10 and 20 range. So I'm not too concerned about the 18. What really makes me feel good looking at the numbers right here is the 93 average, which, as you mentioned, would be good enough for second in the country, which is absolutely amazing. It's not like Oregon just picking up commitments from a bunch of scrub 3 stars like Georgia Tech down there, and I'm not going to throw another university under the bus. I can't do that.
Just taking Jack
Uh,
just from the clouds there in G Tech. Like, come on, dude. They're just minding their own
sorry, Jack.
business.
I don't think we got a lot of Jackets fans I got to worry about, pissing off
True.
in the comments. So, it's a love shot to Georgia Tech. But yeah, back to what I was saying. It's the quality of recruits that are committing to this program at this point are very high quality. That's something that I think at this point in years previous, that average is still a little bit higher than what it has been in years past. So I feel really good about this class going forward, particularly with some of the crystal balls that have been dropped today with Jordan Davison and 5-star safety Trey McNutt. So I think Oregon, this class is in a really good position how they sit right now. It's kind of closing out to be where, I think at the end of the summer, we're going to have a couple little fireworks. But if we know anything about Daddy Dan, he's a closer. We're going to see him finish usually that late October to late November window. That's his sweet spot. So I anticipate we'll see much of the same this year.
And you got to believe we've talked about it. The Ducks are going to have a great season this year, be definitely playoff contenders, and that's going to play a huge factor as well. So it's going to be fun to watch. Let's do a little fun segment we usually don't do on the show, but something was released today. You and I went back and forth on Twitter about it. As if you've been watching, I'm a Gator fan. This is not coming from a Gator bias, although some of you may feel that way. And look, Oregon's not in here. You could, you tell me. Do you feel okay? I took a shot at Wisconsin. You defended Wisconsin. I don't know where that was coming from. Look, I'm not mad that Florida's top 10. That's whatever. Behind Doak, that seems like it's a personal blow. That's fine. I'm okay with most of these people in front of us. Again, Wisconsin is wild to me. I think LSU got the snob there with being number 3 behind Alabama and Texas A&M. Look, Texas A&M is an incredible stadium. Don't get it twisted. But toughest places to play, I don't know. I feel like they got a lot wrong here. And look, College Football 25 has been right for a lot of what we've seen thus far. They're bound to get something wrong. And look, if this is the things they get wrong, this was horribly wrong. This was probably the worst list I've seen. And look, this has some weight behind it because it's going to play a factor in the game. It's not like it's just some random burner account on Twitter that threw a list together, right? There's some legitimacy to this.
Yeah, it is a little disappointing just seeing as how, I like many and millions of other people are absolutely stoked for College Football 25 to come out. So, to see this list come out, it was a little bit lackluster, kind of like you pointed out, Kyle Field at 1. That's kind of one where I'm like, the toughest in the entire country. Like you said, great. It's a great venue. The fans are rabid, borderline cultish down there. But the toughest place to play, I don't know about that. And then LSU, I think they could be bumped up a little bit. The shoe, I have no problems with Ohio State. Georgia at Sanford Stadium.
It's a little
That's
high
one
at
where
Georgia.
that's what I was thinking for the stadium itself. I wonder how much of this product has to do with who's playing on the field and not so much the field itself, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Georgia from 10 years ago is not the Georgia from right now. You know what I mean? So I feel like that has a little bit to do with it.
If you
Anyway,
take each
Beavers.
stadium at its peak, right? Like if you take Florida at its best versus Georgia at its best, it's not even close. And like I'm not,
Right.
and they didn't do that because obviously A&M, and look, maybe A&M at its best, maybe you could argue, but I don't think LSU at its best to me is number 1. I would argue Ohio State's number 2. Now look, I don't, I watch Oregon games on TV. I've never been to Oregon, but that's Oregon fans are nuts. They're a different cut from a different cloth themselves. The Wisconsin thing has me in a loop. Like I could swap out Oregon for Wisconsin, I wouldn't even bat an eye. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even say anything. That's how crazy the Wisconsin is to me. Do you feel like Oregon could be in the top 10, or is I'm just that frustrated at Wisconsin being up there?
If there's a couple things I would change, it's the couple we talked about. I would take Wisconsin and I would drop it slightly, probably just outside the top 10. I would take Oklahoma, maybe even out of the top 10 altogether. That's one where I kind of look at it and I'm like, I don't know. Wisconsin, I will say, I've attended many, many, many games at Camp Randall. It's a great environment. The fans are absolutely rabid there. It's tough to stay engaged when it's 15 degrees outside and your toes are about to fall off. But aside from that, Camp Randall is a great venue. I'm not sure about top 10.
Michigan's
I
up
don't know about.
there.
Right, yeah, the Big House. That's one where I kind of looked at it and I'm like, I feel like that one's up there. Husky Stadium. As much as I hate Washington, that's a very, very tough place to play historically. Autzen, I saw the extended list of this. They're sitting at 11, just outside the top 10 here, and I'm like, I'm not completely mad about it, but it's just like
Rice,
considering what.
Utah. I mean, those guys were undefeated for how long at
Yeah,
home? Like
Rice
it's not
Eccles.
like
Yeah, I think we just broke their 28 game home win streak or something like that this
it's
past
pretty
year, and
nuts.
Yeah, it is, and there's just a lot of venues that I think have a case to be on this top 10 list that kinda got
Oh, Wisconsin.
snobbed a little bit. Yeah, Wisconsin, I'm not mad about it. If there's another university, I'm gonna homer a little bit. It's the Badgers, but looking at it from a fan perspective, that's one. Oklahoma doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Yeah, I'm not happy with the list overall, but I mean, I'm just looking forward to the
The
game
game.
in general. So if I got to deal with this crappy top 10 list, then hey, so be it.
First blunder, I would say, of EA college sports. Again, and it may not seem big now, but when you're in the middle of a game and your controllers vibrating a lot more at at a Wisconsin game, you're gonna
Yeah,
be like, yeah,
right.
these guys are right. No reason my controller should be vibrating as much at Wisconsin. That's when it's gonna start to kick in. I'm just
When I'm benching my 5-star quarterback because of his shit performance in Camp Randall, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed.
yeah,
I see
it's
what you're saying.
exactly. So, look, man, Derek, fantastic stuff. Another great pickup for the Ducks. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying that a lot more often this season, and to be fun to monitor and be a part of your guys' success this year. I mean, look, it's Big Ten, and I'm not too, it doesn't affect Florida too much unless it comes to the playoffs. Then maybe we might be able to talk too much. But for now, all is cordial on this end, boys and girls. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. We dropping videos every single week until the rest of the season, and probably more with all the news dropping left and right. So you guys be good. We appreciate you. I'm Shelton. That's Derek. See you next time.